Okay, well, time to to make some jokes because you're damn too serious. You're too pensive. You're just trying to figure it out, right? How is that happening? Okay, let's just tell some stories to lighten it up. So the lion, right, the lioness, has been told all her life that she is a donkey. All her life she's been, you're a donkey, 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 and on her head, donkey. After a while, the lioness just started to make sounds like a donkey. And going around and just like, like whatever the sound is. And so the lion or the lioness just walking around, and just doing all these funny sounds, donkey sounds, and stumbled into another lion. And the lion says, "Oh," like roaring, like greeting. And she's like, yeah, what's up? What happened to you? She's like, well, that's how I speak. Because that's who I am. Wait a minute. That's not. You are a lioness. No, I'm not. I'm a donkey. I'm sorry. I don't see a donkey. All I can see is a lioness here, right in front of me. And so lioness just, becomes a bit puzzled. How is that possible, So anyway, that encounter took place, and she's really puzzled and puzzled and puzzled. Maybe she went and meditated a bit. Maybe attended some darshans. And at some point, something inside happened. And instead of making this donkey sound, there was this roar of a lioness. King of a jungle, queen of the jungle. This uproar. And of course, she got completely scared because she thinks it's I'm a donkey and there's a lion here, I have to run away. So this lioness is running away, and periodically this sound comes out of her chest. And she keeps running because it's like, she don't want to. And because that sounds like when the lion is usually ready to, have me for lunch or something. So she runs and runs and runs, and until she's like panted and really run out of breath, and she wants to drink some water. So she comes to the pond, or whatever, that water reservoir, comes down there to drink. Suddenly she sees that she's a lioness, She sees that, like, as clear as the day, that recognition. I'm not a donkey. It's the same thing, you see, the same thing. I didn't invent this story. The story exists in the lore, in the ancient lore, in the folklore of this and that country. It's precisely that. It's that temporal identity took over that makes us donkey of this cause and effect. Consciousness is simply arrested to its glory. The universal identity, everything I experience as I am. Absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. And yet the story took sway on me. Suddenly the story tells me I'm this, I'm that, And everything around me just supports that. Yeah, because there's bills to pay, this, that, Everything just kind of like frames my consciousness continuously. Reminds me that I'm this limited little what have you, right? I want you to contemplate on this story with courage. How come this consciousness got arrested to the degree of donkeyness when there is this absolute glorious magnificence of the king of the jungle, or what have you? queen of the jungle. Everything you do, there's this I. How do we know that? That because it's our experience. I see, I smell, I hear, right? I touch. How do I know that all this happens to me? I'm asking you now this, like, how do I know this is happening to me? How do you know this is happening now? How do you know you're hearing me now, what I say?
Because we're aware of it.
Yes, but how? Who is aware of this?
Consciousness.
No, who is consciousness? Who is consciousness? Is this a passing cloud? Is this the clouds over Vancouver temporarily? Is it the planet Mars? What is it? Another galaxy? A flying cuckoo? What is consciousness? How do you know it is consciousness? No, let's speak about direct experience. What is your experience? Can you see me now? Can you hear my words? Are you aware of what is happening in this room? How do you think this is possible? That's why I said, all it takes is that one shift in consciousness, but it's so radical. It's so radical that we hesitate. This is the true understanding that surpasses every other understanding. That's what I mean, to stand as consciousness. No longer leaning on anything, no longer leaning on crouches, no longer leaning. This, that, what if that happens?
So myself as presence, just as presence.
Forget about the word presence. What is presence?
Something.
What is absolutely, absolutely permanent in your experience?
Lioness.
Well, you have to say it, meaning that. Examine and see. See for yourself. And if you arrive to that there is only I that is permanent, everything else comes and goes, continuously comes and goes, then that is your understanding. And the ultimate understanding that even this fictitious character, that fictitious ego, now we can say that it is a fictitious ego, is nothing but consciousness in disguise. It's nothing but awareness. This is a supreme realization that ego has never even existed, so it cannot even be killed. It's an oxymoron. Ego death is an oxymoron.
Is it more like a disguising or a dissolving? I mean, a death sounds, like we're chopping something. As
Yeah.
you said, that doesn't really exist, but it is an unveiling, isn't it? It's almost like an illumining from the eye.
We will talk about it right now in great detail because we need to understand what is this. But I want you to first to understand that what I said, we're going to view these two perspectives. I want you to first to have however acute or tentative, however visceral, however vague experience and understanding of how your own, whatever you perceive right here, right now, sense of self relates to this core of your identity, to this universal identity as pure awareness. Everything that is there is empowered by awareness. Everything. Every sense perception, every feeling and every sensation is empowered by nothing, because there's no other agencies. There's no intermediaries, there's no agencies. It's only awareness that empowers everything. Don't worry about all this or how come. Let the questions how come in their own, and we deal with them. But for a moment, just for a moment, see that this I, this universal I, this universal identity, and you, it's the same I. It's this absolutely the same I. And that's the only thing that defines you. It doesn't matter what the lioness or lion thought to be a donkey. It doesn't matter. The core of the identity of the lioness never became a donkey. Every story has a deeply ingrained moral into it. The purpose of this story is to illustrate in as simple terms as possible this misconception we have about ourselves. The greatest misconception we have about ourselves is precisely that we think we are something other than what we are. This is the teachings that are absolutely, they do not change with time. This teaching cannot change with time. This teaching is beyond time itself. These teachings will be always delivered in different tanks, in different dialects, in different accents, with different methodologies. But the core of the teaching is that it's a mistaken identity.
So basically our reality, we believe it's an illusion created by
We can say that.
experience.
We can say that. And there is a whole tradition about it. We live in the altered reality. Altered. Literally altered reality. That reality is being altered, fabricated by us, and we sustain that on a daily basis. We hold dearly to that.